It's from Madagascar. It's from a palm tree, and that's raffia. When you get your raffia, you can buy it at any craft store, Walmart, Kmart. I suggest that you open it outside because it is chemically treated and you may be allergic to it. So I open it up, it comes in a plastic container. I open it up outside and then I wash it in warm soapy water. And then I rinse it twice, and after you've done that, you've taken the natural oil out of it. So you have to incorporate an oil back in it. I'm a massage therapist too, so I use like 7 oil. But you can use avocado oil, grapeseed oil, anything that won't go rancid. And then just put a few drops and then work it back into the raffia. My pine needles, when I gather my pine needles, I like to find limbs that are broken off the pine tree. And I gather my pine needles and I pour boiling water over the pine needles. This forces its own natural oil to come out of it, but also it cleans it and it just makes it really pliable. What I do is after I wash my pine needles, and then I just lay them out to dry. After they're dry, I put them in bundles and I stick them in the freezer. So when I'm in, I'm called out to go do a basket demonstration, all I could do is pull it out of the freezer and they're ready to go. And these are like 3 years old. So you can still feel how pliable they are. We'll give everybody probably about 5 or 6 of those. And what I could have you do.
5 or 6, okay.
Yes.
See what that looks like.
Is we need to split the raffia. Probably about this, that dimension. Pass those down.
I guess.
What did Mabel use before raffia?
Before we used raffia, that's the next container. We use natural materials that I gather. This is called sedge root. This is gathered down by the river in sandy soil. And what sedge root is you dig under the ground for the sedge root. And you have to follow this root no matter how far it goes. There's many times that I have found sedge beds that have not been worked for many, many years. And so I have to go in there and I'll find a root and I'll follow it. Sometimes you'll run into like a freeway effect. You'll have all these sedge roots that are intertwined with each other. And the reason for that is they haven't been worked in a long time. So I have to keep following this one root no matter how far or how long it is. I've been really fortunate to find 2 feet, pieces of sedge root. Most of them are small like this, which is okay too. After you follow the sedge root and you get to the rhizome of it, you clip the rhizome off and you save that, because it's going to be replanted into a garden. I've been really fortunate that I've been allowed to make alternating gardens. I have areas that I go to. I'll go gather 1 year, and then I'll skip a year and then go back and gather. I don't overwork the gardens, and I only take what I'm going to use. For a bundle of sedge root, I have seen some weavers, most weavers will not sell their items because it is so hard to get these items now to work. This little bunch of sedge root is $200. This is what it goes for. I'll pass that around so you can see that.
Okay.
And also another one that we use, this is called redbud. This is used for the designs on the baskets. I gather the redbud after the first frost. I have about 5 counties that I cover, that I go and I gather all my basket material. With the redbud, you can leave the reddish brown color on there for your design, but it can also be used peeled, and it gets a sort of like buckskin color, and that's redbud.
Is that
and we
bark?
have it. Pardon?
Is that bark of the redbud, or?
Yeah, it's
off
the
redbud
limb.
tree.
Yeah,
limb.
it's the whole limb, and you can see how nice and even they are because it's a tended garden.
And you
I
soak
manage
this
this
too to
garden.
use it?
Yes, yes.
This is the original size. It's supposed to shoot.
And you apply it afterwards? Do you weave it in afterwards? Do you make the design
As
the
I'm
basket
going.
or as you're going?
As I'm going, yes. And this is willow. I keep my willow in bundles. In my house, it looks like a jungle, especially when I go to gather my materials. And the minute I gather all my materials, like I say, I only pick what I'm going to use, because there's some days that you're not going to get to clean all your material, and so you're going to have some wasted material. And like I said, it's really hard to get these materials, so we don't like to waste anything. We use all of it. But this is split and cleaned willow.
While you're doing that.
Also, the other materials that I use, this is called bear grass. I gather this in the 9,000-foot level. I go up toward Lake Tahoe, Nevada side. And this is also a plant material that has to be well tended. we have to burn this material, and we just, start working with the forestry where they're understanding the Native American ways. And what we do is we have a burn, and then we'll go into the fall and we'll burn this grass down, and then the following spring this nice, straight, even, clean bear grass comes up. What we use the bear grass for is I'm a traditional dancer, and so I have my braided bear grass and my basket material that is on my buckskin dress. But also I have incorporated adding it into my baskets. With this little basket, it has a story with this basket. I guess first I should introduce myself. My name is Arveda. My Miwok name is Huyakme Eplali. It means laughing rabbit. My name was given to me by my grandfather. His name was Hayapo Nochutiri Kawayu. It meant Chief Bony Horse. My grandmother, he was Central Miwok, which is Tuolumne, Angels Camp, Vallecito area. My grandmother is Northern Sierra Miwok, which is West Point, Glencoe, Sandy Gulch, Railroad Flat, all those areas. I'll make a little room for everybody. But getting back to this little basket, I have had many people come to me from all tribes all over the world. I'm just really amazed. The different tribes and the people you would not know, their culture. And they have come to me and they may say, my grandmother was a weaver, but I never got to learn how to weave baskets, and I wish, I could learn from somebody. So that sort of, sparked in my mind, there's this great need out there. Bring the culture back. And so I start learning from other, tribes that were willing to teach me. There was this one class that I took at DQ University. It's an Indian college out of Davis. They were having a basket class. So I wanted to go and work that class. So when I went in and I met the lady, we didn't hit it off too well, and I didn't understand that. I think maybe there's a little bit of too much of an ambitious side about me that may have intimidated her a little bit. That wasn't my intention. Mm-hmm. My intention was to learn as much as I can for the person that was in the future going to be sent to me. She was from the Hupa, Yurok, and Kuruk tribe. Oh, was you waving to me? All right. And so I took this class. I really had a difficult time learning this technique. What they use are 8 willow sticks, and 4 go up, 4 lay down. And what they do is they zigzag in and out of these willow. We call this the patinu, the beginning, your belly button. And so she wove in and out of those willow sticks. Then you have to picture frame it to get it all to hold together. Then you have to do the buddy system, and then a tie knot, and then a triple weave. I said, oh, I'm never gonna learn this. And I kept taking my little basket apart and starting over. That wasn't the only setbacks. Other things, she said, look at the books. Look at all these designs in the book. So I'd pick a beautiful design, and she goes, no, you can't do that. That's a family design. You got to get permission. I said, how do I get permission? You have to go find the family and ask permission. I don't have time to do that. This is, just like a 6-week course. So I'd take it apart again, and I'd start over. There were designs that are family designs. There are designs that belong to chiefs only. There's designs that belong to medicine people only. So I kept getting these obstacles you had to jump over. So I was really getting intimidated by this. And I didn't realize just how intimidated I was until one night when I left the class and I went home, and I was very disturbed. I went to sleep. I brought this into my dream. In my dream, I was sitting down by the river. I could hear the water rushing like this. I could smell the willow. I just became a whole part of the earth, but I was sad. I was crying so deep. These tears were just rolling out, and I could just feel this pain so deep. I had all my baskets, all my basket material all around me. What I was doing was, I had made up my mind, maybe I'm not meant to be a weaver. I cannot do this. So I was letting all my basket material go away. I was going to let it go in the river, and my baskets, let it go away. Let somebody find it someday and become a weaver. Let that be their dream. So I'm sitting there and I'm holding my baskets and I'm crying. One by one, I'm saying goodbye to all my baskets. In this little area where I was sitting on this big flat granite rock. It was basket weaver's dream. Every basket material, medicinal plant was just growing and thriving and lush. This was a garden that had been tended, well tended, loved and cared for. I could see the long, tall, straight willows. I could see the sedge root down by the river just so thick and, just ready to be picked. I could see the redbud, all the little fuchsia flowers hanging from them. That's the early spring. That's the flowers that open. I could see all this. I could smell all this, but I was sad. In those willows, they parted. A little hand come out like that. And all I could see was this pure white, silver, platinum hair of a little Indian woman. Her skin was so dark, and her little walking stick was taller than she was. In our belief, we don't watch our elders when they walk toward us, because you capture their spirit and you keep them here, and so they're wandering around. They're lost when they cross over the other side. So I looked away. The basket I was working on in that class, I was ashamed of that basket. So I'm grabbing leaves and dirt and everything, and I'm covering that basket behind me. I don't want her to see it. So she walks up to me, and in her language, she asked me if she could sit down with me. I say, yes, you may sit with me. When she sits down, she asks me, you need some help? No. Okay. She asked me, what do you have over there? I said, nothing. And she goes, I saw you hiding something. What was it? I said, nothing. It was just a basket. She goes, well, let me see the basket. I said, no, it's not that good. And she goes, let me see the basket. So I dumped out the leaves and the dirt, very disrespectful. Don't ever do that to your basket. It was just a dream. And so I dumped it out, and I have it in my hands, and I'm going to hand it to her. When I'm handing this basket to her, this sun ray has come down, and it's shining on this basket. When I hand it to her, I could see everything about her hands. They were so detailed. Somebody that worked so hard with their hands. They dug roots. They did basket materials. You could just see all this. Her hands told a story. You could see all the cracks and crevices of somebody that worked hard. You could see the arthritis, the twistedness of her fingers. You could see the broken and chipped fingernails and the impacted soil that had stained those fingernail beds for many, many years. I could see all this in the sunlight as she took my basket. And when she took that little basket, it took on a different form. And she's looking at it and she's turning it. As she's turning it, this basket starts weaving itself in her hand. She's talking to it in her language. She's singing to it, and it starts taking form. And I'm just sitting there and I'm watching, and then she goes, I don't see anything wrong with that basket. And I said, then it bounced back like to my vision of the basket. I said, yeah, I see this, and I'm pointing out all these little qualities that didn't fit the bill. She goes, I don't see that. She goes, but I'll tell you what you can do with that basket. Make it 100 sticks. If you want to do something with it, count them, make them 100 willow sticks. Not 99, not 101, 100 exactly. And in your designs, add all these materials: sedge root, black maidenhair fern, the reddish-brown woodwardia fern dyed with alder bark. She said, but most importantly, add the bear grass and braid the bear grass into your basket material. No one has ever done this before, not even me. And so I said, I see what you mean. And so she's still looking at the basket, and she's turning it, and she's singing to it, and it just has its own little life. You could see it, just it had its own life. And she goes, she goes, here's your basket. She goes, what I see in this basket, it's going to be a strong healing basket. It's going to heal many people. This little basket I have taken this with me many, many places. Many, many people have handled the basket. When I woke up, I took this little basket all apart, right back down to the patinu, right back down to the belly button. It was like 3:45 in the morning. I had class that evening at 6 o'clock. I worked all morning, all day, building this little basket like I remembered in the dream how she told me what to do. 6 o'clock that evening, I walk in there I'm armed. I have all my baskets, all my basket material. Everything is prepared. I had all my willow all cleaned, all nicely coiled in nice little bunches. Had my sedge-root all cleaned, ready to go. I was going to give them away that day. I'd made up my mind. I'd finished my basket. I don't like to leave anything incomplete. And so I was done. I went up to her. She saw me coming. She goes, oh, geez. So she goes over here writing, talking with everybody else. The one thing my grandmother taught me was patience. Stand and be patient. So I kept standing there. She kept ignoring me. I kept standing there. She kept ignoring me. Finally, she goes, can I help you? I said, yes. I'd like to turn my basket in. It's complete. She goes, you have 2 more weeks. Come back in 2 weeks. I said, I will not be here in 2 weeks. She goes, oh, really? You know, her sweet little voice. And she took it in her hands, you know, and she was examining it. I mean, just ripping it apart with her eyes. And I wanted to say, no, give it back. But I didn't. And she goes, where'd you get that design? I said, oh, no, not a chief symbol or a family design or something. And I said, do it again. I had a dream. She goes, a dream. Tell me about your dream. So I start telling her about the dream, about how I felt, smelling, you know, all the willow, the little lady part in the willows, the whole thing. She's not even listening to me. I mean, she's examining, looking, counting, you know, and lifting it upside down and inside out and not paying attention to what I'm saying. Finally, I finish, and she's still looking at the basket, and I said, that's it, I'm done. She goes, I want you to stand right here and wait for me. I'll be right back. And she got up. She goes, I need to go speak to my associate. I'll be back. And I'm standing there thinking, oh, no. What do I do now? So I'm standing there, and of course, all the class is quiet. They want to hear what's going on, what she's saying to me up there. And I'm standing there awkward. I'm looking up. I'm looking down. I said, do I stand here? Do I go to my desk? What do I do? So finally, I just said, I better go sit down, pack up the little things I've got, and get out of here. But before I could leave, I could hear her high heels coming down the hall. There's another set walking very briskly right beside her coming down the hall. They stop outside the door. Don't everybody hate that sound? They're out there talking with each other, and the whole class is quiet, and then looking at me and everything. And so I just sit there, don't know what to do. And then she peeks in. She goes, Arveda, would you please step out in the hall?
All right.
I don't think nobody likes those words. So I get up, and I felt like there was a cartoon a long time ago. Probably all the kids remember that. It was of a turkey that was going to go be Thanksgiving dinner. But it was going like dun, 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 dun. I could hear that song going through my head as I'm walking out there. I get out there where the 2 ladies are. They're talking with each other, and I'm standing there, and I'm waiting. And she goes, Arveda, I want you to tell me the story. I said, it was a dream. She goes, okay, just tell it to us. Don't leave nothing out. Tell the whole thing again. So I start telling her the story, telling them the story. And I finish the story. They're still talking with each other, ripping the little basket apart with their eyes and examining it. I said, I'm finished. She goes, okay. I need to ask you 2 things. I said, all right. She goes, first, in our culture, we always ask permission before we do anything, before we weave a basket, before we go into anybody's area to gather, before we sing a song, before we say a blessing, we ask permission. What I want to ask you is, can I ask permission from you, from other basket weavers, to use that design of the braided bear grass in their baskets? I said, sure, yeah, go ahead. That sounds good to me. And she goes, and the other thing, next week we're going on a field trip. I want you to go on that field trip with us. I said, okay, I can do that. So the next week I went on the field trip. We went to the Sacramento State Indian Museum. Beautiful, beautiful baskets. So I'm looking at all the baskets, examining them. There's one glass encasement in the middle of the museum. And most beautiful baskets I had ever seen in all my life. All these lights are shining on them. They're just like radiant. So I walk over there, my mouth hanging open. I'm looking at all the stitches line up. They're just beautiful. Everything precisely right. And I keep walking around this glass encasement, admiring the cradle boards, the acorn cooking baskets, the medicinal baskets, the ceremonial baskets, baskets for chiefs, baskets for Indian women, you know, just all of these baskets. And there's these little steps. Somebody built these little steps, and it was in my way, so I kept walking around it, not taking my eyes off the baskets. And I just kept looking. Finally, my fourth time around, I said, I wonder why did they got those steps there? So I walk up those steps, 3. Then there's another little glass encasement up there. I said, there's nothing in it. But there's one more step, so I take up one more step, and I stand on my tippy toes and look, and there's a magnifying glass on the top. So I peek in that magnifying glass, and whoa, 3 tiny little baskets, no bigger than a grain of sand, with all of these basket materials and design. And I step back and I look again. I can't see it with the naked eye. And I stand back up there as long as I could, you know, stand there wobbling around, staring at those baskets. They were so powerful. They said such a powerful statement. I'd never seen anything so beautiful, so tiny, to carry so much power with them. I had this feeling somebody's watching me, and I look around, there's my instructor and her associate. So I stepped down a little bit embarrassed, and before I know it, they're right there. I said, what do you think? I said, I have no words to describe what I have just felt with those tiny little baskets. And she goes, did you read about the weaver? I said, no. She goes, go around there and read about the weaver. So I walk around the side, still got my eye on the baskets. I don't want to leave. I get over there, there's a 2-page write-up on this woman. But what caught my eye was there was a picture, small little picture up there. And in it, you could see the hands holding a basket and the sun coming down on the basket. You could see the calluses in the finger, the broken fingernails, the embedded soil of many, many years of working with her hands. You could see the arthritis in her fingers, everything about it. And I said, how did she do that? And so I start reading about this lady. Her name was Mabel Mckay. She was a Pomo medicine woman. She traveled around the world, and she would take her baskets. She gave many baskets away. She was a powerful, powerful medicine woman. And in that, I found that she was the one that gave me the vision to put the bear grass in my baskets. I always felt indebted to her, that I will never be able to repay her. I wanted to meet her. I found out that she had passed away 2 years before then. That's why they had her baskets on display. But this is one of the baskets, and I always keep pine nuts in here to offer to the people. So if you would like to pass that around. And we will start on the pineal baskets while I continue talking.
Are we to take a bean from?
Yes, yes. It's a powerful bean. It's medicine.
Do you want all this shredded?
No, just enough, the ones that are going to weave. And then we can just get some more as we go along. Okay, what we will be doing today is making a pine needle basket. As soon as I get my needles out. We have one more coming, so I'll slow up a little bit.
I have one.
Did you make this morning?
Yeah, well, no, I made that last year. It's supposed to go to a woman that, I'm also a traditional dancer, and I wanted to make a basket for a lady that has done many things for me. And I told her the only way she can get the basket is she has to come to my house so I can bless her with food and song and give her the basket. I said, I will leave the basket unfinished until you come to my house. Oh. In here we have scissors and needles. If you could take a needle and pass them around.
So are you in touch with your instructor today?
Yes, actually we became very good friends after that. And one of the, we learn many lessons through life. That was a lesson learned to me, to not judge people or to not, get carried away or get your feelings hurt. If people react to you differently, there's reasons behind it. What I had found with this lady is she didn't understand me. She didn't understand, why is this Miwok woman coming down here to learn baskets from me? Is she trying to steal, our culture? And they were, she was a little bit, hesitant to teach me because she didn't know what my intentions were. And then when she realized what my intentions were, to not keep this for myself, but to give it to other people that come to me. and they want the knowledge. You know, maybe they had a grandparent that was a weaver or an auntie, and it's a technique that is lost, that is gone forever. Maybe they passed over on the other side and they took that knowledge with them. So if I can help them with a little bit of, you know, getting them started, even just knowing their basket material, where to gather it, what to look for, what season to gather. Each one of these basket materials you gather at a certain season, like the red bud I was telling you. This is the red bud. I gather this after the first freeze so that the reddish brown stays on the material. Or if I peel it, then it has this like buckskin color that I also use. So everything has a different season to gather. And so you have to know all these things and to not overwork the areas. I just take what I need and I manage the land. I don't claim it, I manage it for other people to learn from. Okay, we have scissors. If we could like put a scissor in between every other person and they can share them. And the needles are going around, and if you could take a raffia and pass some down to everybody so they can get theirs. There may be a crooked needle in the tip of it, may be crooked in that little case that's going around. I think I've wore it out. That's the one I use all the time. So it's got a crooked tip.
That's the best one.
Yes. And I always keep little pliers. You will find that
Just take one, I'll walk it
some of the work is very, very tight. And when you try to pull your needle through, you really have a difficult time pulling it through. So I always keep little pliers around where you can grab your needle and pull it through real easily.
Do I need it? That was these pliers.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Pass that down here.
Okay, we have some raffia needles going around.
Did you get a needle, darling?
You have to wait till you get your raffia, and then you put the needle through that.
Okay,
Is anybody weaving back here?
We're cutting
Okay.
this.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
here's your needle.
Yeah, thread your needle.
Can she see me? I'm sorry, I don't know your name, darling.
It is Virginia and Liz.
Okay.
Okay.
Now what do I do?
When I was talking about my grandmother teaching me patience, I think everybody here, no matter how young or how old you are, have played hide and go seek. Every culture plays hide and go seek. And it was no different with the Miwok people. We played hide and go seek too. But nobody ever wanted me to count and go find them. I always got sidetracked. I'd be counting and counting, and then Henna the wind would bring the scent of a plant, and I would have to go check out that plant, and I'd forget there were kids out there hiding, waiting for me to go find them. And so eventually they just get tired and go home. So I was always the last one to be chosen to go find everybody that was playing hide and go seek. I begged them, please let me try one more time. So they said, okay, this is your last chance. You count to only 50, not 100, because you get sidetracked if you count to 100. So I'm counting around, and I'm counting, I'm doing good. 31, 32, 33. Hannah cheated, brought me a cent. And they said, close your eyes, don't pay no attention to anything. So I'm closing my eyes and I'm still counting 35, 36. Hannah brought me another cent. And so I start looking, they said, we can't hear you. 40, 41, I'm still counting. And then I could see there was a little plant out there, and it looked like it had spider web material flying from it. So I start scooting over on the ground next to that plant, and I'm still counting. And they said, we can't hear. I said, 21, 22, 19. And I'm trying not to pay attention to that plant, and somebody peeked. I said, she's cheating. Let's all go home. I said, oh, no. Let me finish. So I start counting some more, and that little plant wanted my attention so bad that Henna the wind started blowing it in my face. So I'm closing my eyes and I'm trying to be good. I pull off my face, roll it in my hand. You know how little kids, your hands are a little sweaty and everything. So I keep rolling it down my leg and catching some more. Finally, I can't stand it anymore. That little pepper smell kept coming to me. So I'm sitting right next to it and I reach over and I touch the plant. It's hollow. It's a hollow plant. But this spiderweb material is coming from that plant. And so I'm looking at that plant and I'm trying to figure it out. finally the kid said, we quit, we go home, we're not playing anymore. I said, wait, give me one more chance. Everybody just goes home. So I'm sitting there and I'm pouting because everybody goes home. Nobody wants to play with me. So I'm sitting there and that little plant got my attention again. So I start looking at the plant and I start taking more material off of it. So I go pouting, going home. My grandma's sitting on the porch and she goes, what's wrong? I said, kids don't want to play with me. And she kind of laughed. She goes, well, why? I said, because I can't count. She goes, well, sit down, I'll teach you how to count. I said, I know how to count, Grandma, but other things, they keep taking my attention away and I can't keep counting like I'm supposed to. So she goes, go get a pencil and paper. We're going to sit down. You're going to start writing how to count. And I'm saying, Grandma, but look, I got to show you something first. And I had all this spiderweb material in my hand, but it's stiff, you know, it's really hard. And so I give it to her and she goes, where did you get this? I said, it's right down over the hill there. And she goes, go show me. So I walk down there with my grandma and I show her that plant. And there's a little old patch of it, little old tiny patch of this material and the spiderweb material coming off. And she goes, do you know what this is? I said, no. And she goes, this is what we make our string out of. This is called dog bane. We don't have this kind of plant anymore. She goes, we're going to take care of this garden. She goes, we got to cut it all the way to the ground and then work up the soil and give it some water so it'll start growing. So that's how we started the gardens. That's how we start tending our gardens. She cut it to the ground and said, oh, how could you do that? But the next spring I saw why she had done that, because then it doubled. It was like that. So every year we would cut it back and it just kept getting bigger and bigger so we could get our string there. So this one day I'm sitting, kids don't want to play because I can't keep counting. So I'm sitting there and I'm sitting underneath a pine tree. The pine trees have always presented themselves to me. So I'm sitting under the pine tree, thank you. And all these pine needles start dropping straight down, not falling flat. They're dropping straight down to the ground all around me where I'm sitting. And I look out like that, no other pine needles anyplace else, just where I'm sitting. So I move over here a little bit, so I'll get out of the way from the pine tree. I'm in its way, I guess it needs to drop needles there. So I move over a little bit and then all the pine needles start dropping around me again. I figured it must be a squirrel. A squirrel's up there playing tricks on me. So I kept sitting there, moving around, trying to get out of the pine needle and pine tree's way. Finally, I pick up some pine needles and I smell the pine needles. I always let everything become a part of me and I become a part of it. I smell those pine needles. I can smell that scent. And something just told me to start working those pine needles. I start working with it and I made a tiny little pine needle basket. We were going to see my grandmother, my father's mother, that day. And so I'm going to take her this little basket. So I held it in my sweaty little hands all the way to Slough House from West Point. And I kept peeking, making sure, you know, that it wasn't falling apart. And it was coming apart because it wasn't very good. And I got a little bit of ashamed of it. I said, well, I made this for my grandma and I think she'll understand. So we finally made it to Slough House. I jump out of the car and I run in there. My grandma's sitting there, she always was crocheting or working on, you know, always working with her hands. I know now why she took up crochet work. So like I said, she taught me lessons, she taught me patience. I'm standing, I'm running up, I wanted to just say, Grandma, you know, but I'm standing there really patient. After a while, one leg, then the other leg. Finally, after the game was played for a while, she goes, okay, what's the matter? I said, Grandma, I have something for you, and I gave it to her. And at first, you know, she looked at it, she goes, what's this? And then she laughed a little bit, and she started examining it, looking at it, and she goes, come with me. I said, uh-oh, I don't know if that's a good come with me or a bad come with me. She had this one room she kept padlocked. It had 2 padlocks on that door. Everybody have their raffia threaded, and I'll keep talking.
And what are you going to do with it?
We're going to make a pine needle basket.
Oh.
Yeah, would you like to make one?
Well, you want to make one?
Yeah, honey.
Oh, you want to?
Okay, there's
There.
one.
Okay.
Do you have your needle on it? Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Sit up for a minute. Here you go. Sit. Here. Watch her. You're going to do everything she does.
There's another one.
Oh, who else wants to make one?
Anybody else want one?
You want to make one?
Like that.
One more.
This is the crooked needle I told you about. This has been with me for a long, long time.
I was wondering if I didn't know it was anything.
Yeah. That one might be too small. But anyway, my grandmother, she goes into that room, and when she opened it, I knew why she kept it padlocked. That looked pretty scary in there. She had boxes and boxes filled with everything you could think of, and she tried to get me to go in there. I said, I don't want to go in there. It's too dark and scary. So I could hear her in there digging around, moving stuff, hearing boxes moving. She goes, well, where is it? And I could hear her, and then she goes, come help me. I said, Grandma, I don't want to go in there. And so finally she goes, oh, here it is. And so she come out. And when she stepped out that door, she had this little yellow handkerchief that she must have had it for a very, very long time. And she started padlocking her door, and she turned around. She goes, I'm going to tell you something. Don't you ever tell anybody what was in that room. I said, I won't. I wanted to get out of my mind anyway. And so she went and she sat down, and she started unfolding her little handkerchief. As she's unfolding it, she's offering, she's giving it tobacco. That's how we give our offerings. We burn tobacco, or we give tobacco to the Creator. This is how we say our prayers and our blessings, and the smoke takes it up to the Creator. So this is what she's doing. She's praying over this little yellow hanky that she's opening.
Beautiful.
Isn't funny? You got it threaded? Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine
You're
there.
fine. Oh, wait a minute. Where'd the needle go? Oh, here it is.
There it is in her hand.
I'll help you guys. We'll just listen to her.
And so as she is praying over this little yellow hanky, she's opening it up, she's unfolding it. And when she unfolded it, there was a piece of obsidian. Everybody know what obsidian is?
That black rock.
Yes, black shiny rock that they make arrowheads out of. My grandmother used this as her knife. It was how she shaved down the sides of her sedgeroot, how she cleaned her willow. She used a piece of obsidian. But she had a piece of obsidian and a deer bone awl that she'd made. And so she goes, I have been waiting for a long time for somebody to show me that they wanted to be a basket weaver. And she goes, now these will go to you. I still have her obsidian and her deer bone awl. When I make baskets for medicine people or for ceremonies, I use those materials because it puts power and strength from my grandmother into those baskets. We'll go ahead, we'll start. You have pine needles in front of you?
Oh, yeah. Right here. Here's pine needles. Here's your pine needles, and these are yours. Oh. Now, wait a minute. We got to wait for her.
We have some more if anybody needs more.
We have more here.
Don't do it.
Here's some more for you. Sandy, right over here.
Pine needles?
Pine needles.
Oh, okay.
Well, wait a minute. We'll wait for her.
You would see those.
What we do is we take 3 caps. These are called caps.
3.
I got 3.
And these are called caps.
Okay.
You take 3 pine needle caps. Is anybody left-handed? Oh,
Anybody left-handed?
okay, cool, I say. Everybody take your pine needles in your left hand, and you should be able to get your pine needles to move with your pinky.
Oh.
Oh, that's.
Can you
Yes.
get them to move with
This
your
is your
pinky?
control hand. This controls the direction of your basket. So you should be able to go like this with your pinky, with your pine needles.
Can you do that?
This.
Oh.
Now,
Then go down.
here
Yeah.
3 like
3
this.
bundles.
Wait a minute.
this.
3
We have
bundles
to
like
have
this.
3 heads.
Pretty. How pretty.
That's with your pinky.
You
Okay.
go all the way
Yeah,
down
that is your
to the bottom of your raffia, the one that don't have the needle on it.
We should have 2 raffias
We
each.
should have 2.
No, it's just one.
One.
See, I have it threaded
the
on my
other
needle.
side.
You go to the other side of
What do
it.
we do now?
And you go down to the end that don't have the needle on it.
Oh, okay. We go
that.
As I
down.
say, you don't want your raffia too thick. That's why I had the lady splitting the raffia. You don't want it
Leave
too
the needle
thick
drop.
because it will be too hard to go through, put your needle through. And you don't want it too thin because then it will take you too long to make the basket and you become frustrated. You know, so this is a good width right there, right about
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
I guess you would call that a pencil lead width.
Okay, now.
So now you
Drop
take your
the
raffia,
needle.
lift your thumb up, and lay your raffia right on top of the pine needles.
Do we just gather some
Okay.
out here?
No,
Do
did you want
this.
to make some?
Oh.
Okay, there you
Like
go.
that.
The other.
You're welcome.
Drop the needle. Drop the needle.
Hey.
I think I won't tell you.
What are you doing? Okay, now wait a minute.
Okay.
Drop the needle.
One second, I gotta rethread.
You're gonna use this end.
Don't lose the needle.
No. Here, you're gonna use it.
Okay.
And you're gonna put that right there.
Okay.
Okay, now wait for instructions. Leave the needle, let it drop.
Everybody to that point?
I think so. Yeah, like that.
You're
See it?
ready.
Parallel.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
something
go
for you to
parallel.
Good.
Okay.
Hey, you could do that at home. No, you don't want to do that at home.
Hold
do you?
that
No.
like that.
Maybe.
Hold this.
No.
And then hold this string.
Your right hand.
Just like that. Here. No, you're all right. This. Leave it
That
together.
was the bottom of this.
You're gonna come around.
Parallel. Okay. Hold that.
No, wait. I gotta.
Up here.
Hope it isn't our
And
dog's
hold
out
this.
causing
Put
problems.
that
This is
down.
mine.
No, leave it alone.
Okay, now what you do, after you've done that, tap your pine needles down so you can barely see them between your thumb and your finger.
Okay.
Oh. Okay. Good idea.
Hold
Hey,
it.
very good. No, say very clever. You were.
Okay. Everybody to that point?
I think so.
Then you grab your raffia, and you want to think of it like this way. You want to fill that basket up with good things.
So I'm gonna pull it
That's
to
the way
me.
you're going to go.
Wait a minute.
You're going to be pulling all this good energy into your basket. Your first basket that you make, you always give that away. So you want good feelings to go in that basket.
Okay, think good feelings, okay? Good feelings.
See
What
that?
did you do? Okay, but, okay.
No, wait.
Wait a minute.
We're almost
Yeah.
at the tips, but not quite.
No, wait. Be
And
careful.
if you
Don't lose
pinch
the
your
needle.
pine needles together, then they'll all lay flat. You see, you go like this.
Oh.
Pinch your pine needles together so
Oh, I
you
tried that.
pinch your pine needles together so they're like flat. Okay? So you do this 1.5. Grab your sewing needle and go through. Go straight towards you. Go to where?
1.5.
And a half.
Got that?
Grab your sewing needle and then go straight down.
Here's the needle.
Okay.
Okay, I have the needle.
through the raffia, honey. Towards you or away from you? Away from you. You always want to think of this. You're filling this up with good things, so you're going to push that needle
Keep going
away
like
from your
this.
eyes.
1.5.
This is a safety measure.
We're going around one.
No,
Everything
don't
goes
go.
away from one
Give it
and a half.
the studio door.
1.5. Grab your sewing needle, go straight down through there.
All right, gotcha.
Wait a minute, Liz. I'll do it.
Like this.
Wait, Liz. Okay?
She went straight through it.
Straight through the pine needles? I guess, yeah.
Through the raffia.
Through the raffia.
Did you get that? Okay. You go 1.5, and you go straight through and pull your needle through. Pull it all the way through.
Now just hang on, I'm waiting.
No,
That
I
again?
don't have a
What do we
needle.
do next?
No, wait.
That locks in your first stitch.
And then you snip that?
So then, no, mine raveled.
Wait a minute, Liz. I'm gonna do it.
Wait, so we has to do 1.8.
Here, hold this.
We keep going?
Wait, I'm waiting.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's the first part of the belly button.
Yes, that's called the patinu.
Oh, you're not getting
That's
a
your
cramp.
belly button.
Oh,
Now move your thumb and your finger down just a fraction of an inch because your next stitch is going right beside it. Not on top of it, right beside it. So you go 1.5 and you go through again, pull it all the way through.
Okay, so you want the raffia to be right up against the last? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. There's my first stitch. So I move my thumb and finger down and you go 1.
No, look at that.
You're laying right beside it.
Now, what'd she say to do?
Hey, look at mine.
Mine's hairy.
Judy did that.
That's what those tweezers are all
She is
about.
doing yours. Are you doing?
Now when?
Pulling the energy into us.
Energy, energy.
Okay, now, okay, now move your thumb down. Give it a little more.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, you don't want to stick that out. No, don't stick it in your bikini.
Okay,
That would stop.
and then my
Hurt.
second thing, I do it again. Do I wrap it again, Tim?
I measure it.
Okay, you never saw it.
Oh, I forgot.
Each time you would move your finger and your thumb down a fraction of an inch, go 1.5, go 3. Move.
Oh, all the way. Okay, hold this. No, put this way.
Oh,
This is yours.
okay,
I'm gonna do Virginia's.
okay.
Where's
You want
hers
me to
go?
get-
Oh, there it
Stick it
is.
in here.
Wait a minute, Liz. Wait for me.
There.
I got an
Wait
Audi.
for Sue,
An Audi.
okay? I told her.
What?
I told her to wait.
Crap.
Not enough water.
Yeah, go on your
How was
feet.
our vacation?
That'd be the
Stressful, huh?
Yeah. He's been on vacation. His fingers are.
Think good. Wait a minute.
Or
I'll
that
get
bottle.
from
One of the two's got him.
Have you been fishing?
Not yet.
No.
Not yet. See, I got an Audi.
Uh-huh.
I think I do too.
Okay.
One and a half.
Everybody's got that.
4 times?
Yeah, you should have total of 4.
I love this. I think I was meant to be a basket maker.
Okay. Now this is where you're going to violate your pine needle basket.
Sweet.
Where you're holding this basket, potential basket in your left hand, you're going to grab those pine needles back here and you're going to bend them over to the side. So it looks like a horseshoe. You bend them over real tight.
Okay.
Look like a horse.
Wait a minute, Liz. I'm coming.
No, wait.
Like it.
Minor.
Can you wait patiently, Liz?
Remember,
Okay.
good
She can wait
feeling.
patiently.
Think about your friend in Florida that you're going to make this for.
My sister in Louisiana.
Ah,
We need, oh,
your friend. Here. This is
Okay, now,
yours.
4 times. And then we just
Away from
Now,
you or
give me
towards you?
the
bend it over.
Just hold
Make a
this for a
horseshoe.
minute,
You
honey.
bend away or
See how I'm
towards you?
holding them tight?
Yeah.
Bend them to the side.
Okay.
I didn't feel guilty if you drop one of these pine needles.
You do it right.
One.
Bend them to that side.
This way.
you got it.
We violated our
One.
Right.
Now we're gonna wrap again. So you go 1.5. Go through that heart part. That first, the ones where you first have the stitches. Your stitch is gonna go right through there.
At the top or the bottom?
It'll be close to the top. Will actually be right in the center. It'll be in the middle. But it's gonna be the stitches that are gonna be up closer to the top.
So you wrap the whole section.
Yes.
How many
Just
times?
keep wrapping it.
Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. We
Stop,
got to do
stop,
something
hold
with the
it.
horseshoe.
How many times?
Wait a minute.
One.
And it should be. If
How
you
do
have
we
the
do the
pretty
horseshoe
tight, it should be
thing?
about
Take it and
Sideways.
you just sideways.
So you have them flat this way?
Oh, you did a good one.
Always
good.
going. Your direction of your stitches are always
Sideways. Okay.
And then hang on to it. And then now I'm there. That's where I'm at.
And then when you bend it over, you do 1.5 and then go right back through there again. Over all of it.
Okay.
Around all of it.
Okay. So, it's got to be real close. Okay.
So we do one
Who
and
am
a
I
half
doing?
one stitch.
Watch this, you guys.
Okay, we're watching. My
Now
eyes are
watch.
right on it.
Okay, we have to take this and bend it this way. Okay, right, even with those 3. Then we go 1.5 again. And
Got it.
then we go like that.
Arthritis, this is not coming out there.
Get it? Watch the needle. Stick it in your finger. Slowly.
You know, the one thing I found out by being a basket weaver, I found out why these are called darning needles.
Yeah.
Because every time I poke myself, darn needle.
You're good.
It should be about 4.
4?
4 times.
Okay, we do it 4 times. Now wait a minute,
It
Virginia,
depends on how
I'm gonna
big your
help.
horseshoe is.
Oh, Danny's helping with.
So that side is exposed.
Because when you come around, then that will be covered.
All right. Darn needle. Smarter by the minute.
Just the belly button. Just think we could be down sitting with them, listening to the girls yodel.
Who's yodeling?
She said she didn't know what she was doing. I said, well, we could be sitting with our grandchildren listening to them yodel.
Oh, I want to go hear them yodel too.
Yeah, no, we'd rather be doing this.
They ought to be up here.
Yeah, you.
Everybody to that point?
How's my group?
Thursday, like I told you, I'm a traditional dancer. And we did a ceremony in Calaveras County where we went up and we served Indian tacos. It was my sister and my cousins and a few of the youth. I worked for the AmeriCorps. So some of the youth went in and helped us. We didn't ask them, they volunteered.
Oh.
This is how strong this medicine goes around. You know, what you put out there, people grab it and they want to give you strong medicine right back. I was so proud of them. So we went over to the convalescent hospital. We were full dressed in our regalia, all our leather on, our top notch of wild turkey feathers. And you should have seen the eyes light up when we walked into that convalescent hospital. All the little people come out there and we danced for them. We blessed the land. And they were so thankful. And they don't know how much they gave us, how they healed our heart to see them smile, how much they made us feel good by showing their appreciation. They just loved it. And the reason we were blessing the land was they had unearthed some bones, a burial ground, a Miwok burial ground near the old hospital. And so we wanted to go bless the ground for those ones that passed away that had walked this earth before us. We were blessing the ground for them, and we were blessing the ground for the people that are still here. But it was just wonderful. Is everybody to that point?
Yes.
Okay, now if you look at this and if you go to bend it again, you're gonna have a big hole there. You gotta fill that hole. Grab a pine needle cap.
We gotta bend it again.
Yeah, but first you have to grab a pine needle cap because the cap is gonna go right up under that hole right there. That gap. See where it looks like a step?
Yep.
That gap? So you're gonna have to fill that. So you have to put that pine needle in there.
Okay.
Mine almost fit perfectly.
Okay, now where are we going? Are we bending again?
No, ma'am.
Yes, we're going to.
We're going to, but we're just putting on, and take another one, and we're just putting ourselves
Oh,
right.
we're getting
Right.
complicated.
Right,
Right in
right.
there. That's a very,
What are you doing,
very
Liz?
clever.
Okay,
Yeah.
here's yours. Hold it for a minute.
Yes. Susie.
Get another pine needle. Wait a minute. I'll do this next one.
And then you violently turn them again.
Now, what happened to it?
Uh-oh.
Oh, here it is.
Here.
Right here. Here it is.
Here it is.
I got it.
She got it put in.
Okay, now.
1.5. You just bring it over the top and put in your stick.
Now, look at this. You have to bend it. Okay? You have to make it bend and make it flat. Then we wrap it around again for 1.5 times. And then we go through again.
Fix that darn needle.
You did it. Hooray.
And then we go around 4 times, Virginia.